There it is.
Morning, Susie.
Their ladies back.
Oh, yes, I was so happy about that.
I'll talk to her soon.
Yeah,
You're on the road.
yep,
Yep.
I like your shirt, that's great.
I was saying that.
Yeah, Kylie and Christine Altman are on.
Colleen and who else?
Christine.
And just, Ian.
And Phil.
Is it Anne or is it Christine?
It's
Oh, it's Anne. I see Altman in my, I wasn't looking at her face, I was looking at the name.
And Christine Altman, Colleen and who else? Christine and just, Ian.
And Phil.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you guys. Is Christine online yet? I think she's on vacation. She told me she
I
was gonna
think
be
you're
calling in.
hearing the,
Oh, am I?
we were hearing everything playing like
Okay.
delayed.
I just got a couple of messages. We have a couple of people running a few minutes behind, so I'm gonna give it. Well, I have to give it a couple minutes anyway, so.
I don't see her on the list of attendees.
Yeah, no, thank you. Thanks, Phil.
As you already know, I am.
Okay, she's here. Hi Christine, how are you?
I'm good.
For being here. Jerry's in the parking lot walking in. Destiny will be here in a couple minutes. We do have a quorum once Jerry gets settled. And so we'll be ready to go.
Apologize everybody for being late.
Good morning.
Hi Destiny.
Hi, you're just gonna have to start with me virtually. I've not been to this location and didn't understand where to park.
It's okay. We have enough people in person, Destiny. We're good.
Destiny, I left at 7:15 this morning. It was like, red light road the whole way, so.
Go ahead and get started.
Okay, we have a forum. Go around, everybody wants to introduce themselves. Suzanne, do you want to start, please?
Sure, I'm Suzanne Narragansky. I'm from Hancock County Senior Services and we manage right and
I'm Joe Daly. I'm a representative of Amalgamated Transit Union 10-7. Andrew Klein, City of Indianapolis.
Don Adams and Family Morgan.
Amy, here we go. I would like to introduce Amy. I'll formally introduce her during my updates, but Amy is our new financial representative serving CIRTA. Welcome to the team, Amy.
Good morning, everyone. Amanda Meyer from CIRTA, the Assistant Director and Mobility Manager.
Good morning, Chris Petrulis, Program Manager for CIRTA.
Good morning, Karen Brooks, Director of Access Programs at Socoa Aging and Home Solutions.
Jared Bridges, Madison County.
Jennifer Gebhard, CIRTA, for Thomas Indigo.
Online. I know we've got Christine there and see her.
Hi, I'm Christine Altman, Hamilton County.
Can't see who else is up there.
Destiny Wells, Marion County.
And Destiny
And Kylie.
and Kylene.
Kylene
see her.
Swackhammer, Muncie, Delaware County.
Phil, hi there, Phil.
Hi, Philip Roth, a mobility management contractor with CIRTA.
And we have, yeah.
And
Good morning. Ann Poindexter, Altman Poindexter and Wyatt, your legal counsel.
do we have anybody else online? I want to thank Indigo, so Brooke and Joe, and she's not here, but tell Jen thanks as
You
well.
bet.
Appreciate it. So, for those of you who don't know this is where we originally met as a board. Christine and I would know that, but this is where we originally met for many, many years. So, yeah. Okay, first item up is, well, we need to do roll call.
I did need to do roll call. Our attendance. Okay, Jerry Bridges,
Here,
Destiny Wells,
Here.
Larry Hessen, Linda Sanders, Don Adams,
here,
Christine Altman,
Present.
Ron Deere, Mike Orlov, yeah, Andrew Climate,
Present.
Suzanne, here, Eileen,
Here.
Joe.
Here.
And Brooke, present. Okay, we are good.
First item up was our consent agenda. Hopefully everybody got the minutes and our packets. And normally we just go ahead and do this, and it's adoption of its resolution 2026-06-09-01. There aren't any corrections to the minutes or anything else. Do you have a motion to for the consent agenda with the second? Suzanne, we have a second.
Second.
Don Adams, second. Any discussion? Roll call, please, Jen.
Jerry,
Aye.
Destiny,
Aye.
Don,
Aye.
Christine,
Aye.
Andrew,
Aye.
Suzanne, Kylie,
Aye.
Oh, there she, sorry.
Joe.
Aye.
And Brooke. Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you very much. Next item up is Karen with My Freedom.
Hey, good morning, everyone. For those who don't know me, I am Karen Brooks and I work for Socoa Aging and In-Home Solutions. And we partner together with CIRTA to provide the My Freedom Transportation Program. Some of you guys have met me before when I've presented and others haven't, so I wanted to just talk about the program in general. So the My Freedom Program, for those of you that are not aware, is a cross-county transportation program, and it's the only program in central Indiana to where a client can travel with one provider and cross into an adjacent county for their transport. We utilize 5307 federal dollars for this program and CIRTA's Public Mass Transit Fund, along with the SSBG or Social Services Block Grant Fund from Socoa, and a 25% payment from the client is what allows these transports to happen. Next slide, please. So again, this program is offered with or by CIRTA, Socoa, and the FTA. Next slide. And again, this is a cross-county transportation program. These are the counties that we cover. So we cover Marion County and the 7 surrounding counties, as well as Madison County. So those that live in Hamilton County and Hancock County or Madison County can transport within those counties. This program is for anybody of any age with any disability, and it can be utilized for any reason. Next slide, please. This is an application that must be completed by the client. This application is statistical information for grant writing purposes. It also asks about any wheelchair activity that they may be using so that we ensure that they receive a proper wheelchair vehicle for their transport. Next slide. This is a medical.
The slides are not advancing on the online version. It just still says it's still showing the titles.
Thanks, Philip.
Thank you, Philip.
Try hitting exit and seeing if you can reshare. That will make a difference. Just manually. Still something else. Just share screen instead of.
Can you see what slide we're on right now, Phil?
The application form, yes, I can.
All right, I guess this is how we'll have to do it.
Okay. So there's the application that must be completed by the client, as well as if the client is under age 60, they have to complete a medical verification form. This program is kind of like a sister program to the Indigo Access program, where Indigo Access provides this transportation in Marion County. And, so within Marion County, where we utilize this for cross-county transportation. This is the medical verification form that must be completed by a doctor. This is just a doctor stating that this client has some sort of a disability that makes it to where they are able to utilize this program. For clients who reside in Marion County and they have an active Indigo Access card, we will take that in lieu of a second medical verification form to be completed by the doctor because they've already completed one to be able to utilize Indigo Access. Next slide, please. Once the client completes,
I'm sorry.
no, I'm sorry, trying to keep up with you here.
All right.
Once the client completes their application process and their medical verification form is completed, they receive an application pack, or they receive a welcome packet in the mail, letting them know that they are a part of the program. In that welcome packet, they also receive a fare card. The fare card is what they actually use to add funds to be able to travel. So when a client calls into Z-Trip to schedule their transport with their fare card, they have already added dollars with Sequoia onto their fare card, and they give their fare card to the Z-Trip driver, who then scans it and takes off the 25% that they owe for that transport. So they get their welcome packet, they call Sequoia, they put their funds on their fare card. Some people like to do it individually per trip, and others like to put, if they're gonna be transporting regularly, they like to put a balance on that card and then just add more fare whenever they need to. It's available either way. They can pay per trip or they can keep a balance on their card to be able to utilize it regularly. They call the provider, which is Z-Trip. Z-Trip goes out, they schedule the transport, they go out, and when they pick up the client gives the Z-Trip driver their fare card. The Z-Trip driver scans their fare card in the portal, and it takes off the client's 25% total that they owe for the cost of the trip. And the client is transported. Next slide, please. This is an example of what a fare card looks like. So where it says Sunshine Test across there, that would be the client name, and that ID is specific to the client along with the QR code. That QR code is each individually unique to each individual client. So in the event that a client were to lose their card, we could print out a new one that has the exact same QR code, that has the information that shows what the available balance is for that client. The system is smart enough to know, though, that if a client loses a card and gets a new one, that they don't have double the amount of fare. It just has still the one set amount that was on that card originally. So if they had $50 on a card and they lost or misplaced that card and we printed out a new one, the new one would show that they have, with that QR code, still $50 on that card to be able to utilize. Next slide, please. So when they're adding money to the fare card, they're going to call Way to Go. They press option number 3. They add fares and they use the card with Z-Trip for scheduling. Next slide. So the cost of a trip. The cost of a trip is mileage based, so it depends on where the trip starts and where the trip ends. So as an example, Z-Trip is located within Marion County. So if a client who was picked up in Marion County and the Z-Trip driver is local in Marion County, there is no minimum trip charge. And that first pickup is a $5 pickup fee, $2 per mile. If, let's say that client in Marion County is traveling to Hamilton County to go to IU North for a medical appointment, they're going to pay from Marion County into Hamilton County, $5 pickup fee, $2 per mile. And then on the return trip home, because that cab driver is pulled out of their local Marion County area, and in Hamilton County, there is a minimum trip charge that is associated with that return trip home, along with the $5 fee or $5 pickup fee and $2 per mile. Now, what's nice about this program is that it's a very discounted transportation program where the client only pays 25% of the total cost of the trip. So let's say that a client calls Z-Trip, they know that their trip is going to cost them, a round trip is going to cost them $100. That $100 is then split out between 5307 federal funding, CIRTA's public mass transit funding, and Sequoia's SSBG funding. and the client only pays 25%. So of that $100, the client would only be responsible for $25 for that total cost of the trip, of the round trip. Okay, next slide, please. Okay, so let's say you have a client who's living in Carmel and travels 10 miles from home into Marion County. Because they are starting in Hamilton County, there is a $40 deadhead fee or minimum trip charge. The mileage cost is $20 and there's a $5 pickup fee. The total cost of that would be $65. The cost to the client, though, is $16.25. And then you have a round trip cost. Now, this is not correct because a round trip cost, if they're going from Marion County back, would not be $16.25. It would be $6.25. So that $32.50 needs to be adjusted. I'll adjust that. It's from a previous one. So anyway, the client would still ultimately only pay the $16.25 from Hamilton County to Marion County, and then from Marion County back to Hamilton, they would only have the, there would be no minimum trip charge there. So it would be the mileage cost and the pickup fee. And the client would be responsible of that, which would be $25, which would be like $6.25. Okay, next slide, please. The transit provider for this is Z-Trip. They're currently our only provider, but we're still working to try to find additional providers for this service. Next slide. The scheduling software system that we utilize for this program is QRide, which is provided by HBSS or HB Software Solutions. They're based out of Massachusetts. They handle all of the software system issues for this program. Next slide. These are the number of applicants that we have received monthly. A total we have received is 566 applications since September of 2023. And as you can see, we continue to grow in those areas. Next slide. We average about roughly 25 to 30 applications per month is what we pretty much average. Within a little over 2 years, you guys, we have provided 5,690 have utilized the program throughout. Next slide. So this is the percentage of trips that are starting in each city. I know this is a little bit small and I can provide you guys with this information, but I thought it might be helpful for you guys to see that in each city, Indianapolis right now, the starting of trips is at 36.49%. And that's the largest percentage of where we're starting these trips. But as you can see, we've had trips all the way from Indianapolis, all the way down to Martinsville and in between. At one point in time, we had some Anderson trips, which were at the beginning, which have now stopped. So it looks like Brownsburg, Carmel, and Greenwood seem to be the next three biggest cities in which the starting of these trips are happening. Next slide, please. So the average cost of a client trip right now since our first trip in December of 2023, it looks like the majority of the cost of the trips are between $9 and $18. So you can see that the majority of them are there. We have some that start out that only go up to $9, and those are probably ones that start in Marion County that are crossing over the line, and then they became $18 on the way back. You can see that the most that anybody has spent has been between $36 and $45 on a trip. So depending upon how far they travel, with it being a mileage-based program, if they started in a northern part of a county and went to the adjacent southern part of the adjacent county, that mileage would make that trip a little bit more expensive. So it's nice to see that the average cost of a client trip is ranging between that $9 and $18. And we're finding that that's sometimes much less than even an Uber or a Lyft. So just want to. Is this the client, what the client pays, or the total cost? So this is what the total cost. So they're going to pay between that $9 and $18. It's going to be their average. Next, please. So this gives a little bit more, and it talks about the individual cities in which the dollars were spent. So if we left and traveled from Anderson or went to Anderson, there's been $18,246.67 spent in that area. And as you can see, Indianapolis is the greatest with $19,544.16. And I can break this out even further for you. It was too large to put on here of the individual cities in which they go to. So like if they left Marion County, where did they travel from there? Next slide, please. And this is the, this is the money that, clients are spending on these trips. And these are the destinations. So if they left the other areas, these are the destinations that they went to. And as you can see, Indianapolis is the greatest destination that people are trying to get to because there was over $31,500 that were spent for people to travel into Indianapolis. Next slide, please.
Can you go back that slide, tell me what it.
Sure. Hold on a second.
Let me reverse it.
Hold on a second. I got it right here. It's okay. It is $95,298.65. Okay.
And that's what the client spent, right?
Yeah, this is the client trip cost. Yes. So.
When you say client trip costs, you're saying only their 25%.
This is what the cost of that trip was for, but the total cost for, now that's split up. That's not just the client cost. The client is only going to pay 25% of that.
Okay, so this is coming from the other three funds that you mentioned.
This is the total cost of each individual trip and what was spent. And then if you, like, there was 18,000, or let's see, Avon, there was a trip that was a total of trips that has spent $814.47 for people to get to Avon.
Okay.
So, and then I would divide that out by the trips of where they left and what the costs were for that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense.
Okay.
Sure the metrics are just expire like
Sure.
everything.
Sure. Okay. And this is just to represent the travel distance for the individual cities. So you can see most people have tried to travel into Indianapolis, and it's a much higher distance than some of the other areas that are noted. Next slide, please. So this is the day of week program miles. So what's really ironic about this, you guys, is that we're seeing that Sunday seems to be the heaviest travel day, which is interesting because this program again is 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and you don't have a lot of transports that are happening on Sunday. So that's really exciting to see that people are able to transport, and that seems to be a hot day that, they tend to transport on. And you see that mostly on Sunday, Monday, Tuesdays, and Saturdays. It looks like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, they're a little more chill. They must do their traveling at the beginning of the week and then kind of calm down. But this just tells you the sum of the total miles on each individual day, what has transpired during, for all of the trips that have been taken. Next slide, please. So program utilization, you guys, way back when I very first came and presented, we were keeping specific statistics on program utilization. Our compliance department met with me and said that due to this program only having a small percentage of people in each individual county, that the PHI, we would give away too much PHI of people if we talked about exactly what the utilization was for.
Does everybody know what PHI stands for? Can you?
Protected health information. So we have to be careful because if we have a small percentage, and I'm just using this as an example. Let's say we have a small percentage in a county, and I'll just choose one. Shelby, okay? And if we only have a few people that are transporting there, and I put down that so many people are using this for dialysis, that's gonna give away that it's that client who's using it and we can't do that. So I just wanted to put this up there that this is the old one that I gave, which is well over a year and a half ago. but wanted to talk about why we're no longer keeping that stat. It is to help protect people, and we want to make sure that people's, information is not easily accessible. So I just wanted to tell you guys that this program, again, is for anybody of any reason with any disability or for seniors age 60 or older. And it can be utilized for any reason. So you have some people that are utilizing it to go to church on a Sunday. You have some people that are utilizing it to travel to see a friend in an adjacent county. You have others that are using it for medical, dental, vision. That there's all sorts of different reasonings, but I wanted to bring a highlight to this, that this is not direct information that we share back with CIRTA at this time, as this program can be utilized for any reason. Okay. Next slide, please. All right, questions and answers. I know a lot of you guys have seen some of this information before, but what can I do to help you guys understand the program? I will tell you, I went to Chicago last year at US Aging and was able to present because there is no other program nationwide that is utilizing 5307 federal dollars for transportation services. And the reason we can do that is because we're smart enough to know that we have to have a local match to be able to make that happen. And that's where CIRTA and SECOA work together to provide this program.
I also wanted Karen to come back out here because SECOA has been in the news lately about their transportation departments, and Karen's been going through a lot at SECOA, and I wanted to make sure that the board specifically knew that this program is not jeopardized by that. So I just, the program is still live and well. The funding is completely separate. The SSBG funding that supports the program is completely separate from the impacts that SECOA has seen. I also just last week on Friday went to the Hamilton County Resource Fair in Hamilton County specifically, where there was over 133 vendors of other community organizations and things to that extent. And the program was very well received. Just in one event alone, between that and our pilot. So again, I asked her to come back out. We had a couple new board members. It's been some time. SECOA's been in the news. I just wanted to make sure everybody was aware of how the program was going. And again, it's interesting to see the data, especially with the Sunday stuff, because again, this was never meant to replace anybody or replace any kind of rural transportation providers or even urban transportation providers. It was meant as a supplemental program and to provide service. I really like that 24 hours a day, 7 days a week component of it, because when the other agencies aren't able to provide that service, we can step in and provide that service. So that's what I think really sets this program apart, to kind of try to fill some of those gaps.
Absolutely. Just so you guys are aware, I'm still at SECOA. I've been there for 14 plus years. We have had a hard transition here lately, and it's not just been with transportation, it's been with services across the board. And due to some changes in funding and other things, we had to take a look at SECOA and do kind of a SECOA reimagine, what are we going to do for the next 50 plus years? As things are changing, we have to change with the times. So the closing of transportation services at SECOA was with the vehicles that we had with 5310 federal dollars. That we worked really closely with Indigo for many years to provide services. It was that service was what was discontinued at the end of May. And that was services that we were helping to provide within Marion County. So all of that ended at the end of May. But as far as my freedom is concerned, the SSBG funding is there. We already have this year's funding, next year's funding already rolled up and ready to go. And we ask for that about a year ahead of time. So, we'll always know ahead of time, that we'll have funding with the SSBG for this program.
Any idea how long it takes for someone to actually call a client? we refer someone out, so we might give them some expectations.
Sure. So usually it takes, the longest part is usually the medical verification form. So if a client is able to get online, or their family or somebody who is able to help them apply and get that medical verification form sent over to that client's doctor, that's what usually holds things up. Now, if they're 60 plus, there's only an application. It can be completed online, it's submitted. And then we have Sarah Cranford, who is helping to oversee the My Freedom program, who usually gets applications in usually within about 3 days, depending upon how many, are coming in at once. However, if it's an emergency, Suzanne, you can call and say, hey, we have this client. Can we get them in, and we'll stop what we're doing and put them in as long as we can and help try to meet that demand.
I'll talk to you afterwards about an
Okay.
experience on that. So
Okay.
I can, again, it's more managing expectations. I just want to,
Sure.
tell them what to expect.
Okay, sounds perfect. Thank
And
you.
we've been telling people 2 weeks, up to 2 weeks.
And it can, it just depends on, it could be up to 2 weeks if the client fills out the application and then that medical verification form is sent to the doctor and we get them into the system and then we get the medical verification form back and then we have to print out the fare card and mail the fare card. It could take up to 2 weeks. It just depends on the uniqueness of the client who's signing up.
Cross county on that
Mm-hmm.
already. So it's usually those folks who you just can't help that time. So
Sure.
it's not something that you just decide to do.
Understood.
So I want to
Okay.
talk to those folks regularly throughout counties and say, make your application so that this is a quick alternative.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Sorry. Michigan.
No, it's okay. So like, in the rural services, if the client is already medically certified regardless of age,
Mhm.
then if they provide that documentation, does that suffice?
We have to be very careful because people could send us all sorts of different,
Yeah.
information. So we try to keep it to where we keep that application and that medical verification form. The only thing we really veer from that is if it is a client who is living in Marion County and they already have that active Indigo card, we'll take a picture of that, just a copy of that saying it's active, because Indigo they've already went through the process with Indigo. And I don't believe a doctor should have to fill out a second medical verification form for this program that, is kind of like a sister program to the Indigo Access
I was
program.
gonna say like Katz and Anderson,
Uh-huh.
they have their own processes that they
Okay.
would do. So like if somebody they would have to go through a similar procedure
Okay.
to get certified to ride.
Uh-huh.
So at that point, that's why I was asking.
And that would be, and I think that's something that we could have further discussions about, because if they're doing the same type of thing, there's no reason why we couldn't take a picture of their card from up there. So, yeah, we want to make this as simple as possible. This is an extra resource for people. It's not a fix-all, system for everybody, but it is a resource and it's actively being utilized. And I can tell you guys a couple of quick stories. We have a gentleman in Hamilton County that is a young client who is utilizing this program as a resource when he needs help to get back and forth to IUPUI here. So you've got a young person with a disability who's utilizing this program for college. You've got others that are utilizing, we have a dialysis gentleman I can think of that's in Zionsville, that's traveling all the way to Lebanon and doing that on the weekends on a Saturday and has no family to help support. And he's able to have dialysis because of this program. I could go on and on and on, but this program is a valuable resource for Central Indiana. It's a very needed program. It's a program that is utilized, and it's a program that I hope we can see continue to grow and be able to be here for our, folks here in Central Indiana for many years.
Can you go back and talk about it's like 556 clients?
Yes, that's applications. That was applications. We provided 5,695 trips, I believe. And then now there's only been 110 clients that have utilized the program sporadically all throughout. but there's a total of 566 who are signed up who could utilize it at any point. Sometimes people just sign up for the program so that they can be prepared for when they need to utilize it.
I think that's good for like your client. That's what I was saying. They need.
Mhm.
Because what's great about it is once they're approved and signed up.
Yeah, then
There's
they're,
no calling in advance. They can call.
they can
Z-Trip,
call Z-Trip and say, hey, I've got a fare card here, I've got money on my
So,
fare card,
yeah.
here's my Freedom card, I wanna travel, and they could call Z-Trip. It could be at 3 o'clock in the morning, you guys, when somebody gets out of, well, never mind, I can't utilize that because they're traveling.
I was like, what?
It used to be years ago, we could use it for some Marion County to Marion County transports, and it would be helpful for people who maybe went to the emergency room and didn't get out till 3 o'clock in the morning. So that's not really, a good thing now because it's not Marion County to Marion County, but
However, if somebody, I live in
I
Hamilton.
you.
I live in
North.
Hamilton,
Yep.
yeah, or I live in Hamilton County and Community Hospital North is in
Exactly.
Marion County, and if I get, that's just an
Exactly.
example.
Exactly.
So you can still cross the county line.
And fun fact, we had one of our very first clients had an internship over at Community North and ended up getting a job out of it full time from this program. So, yes.
The 110 clients, are those 5,700 trips
All
spread
taken.
kind of evenly across the 110, or do you have 10 that make up the bulk of those trips? I'm thinking of our Indigo Access service and like what we see.
Yeah. So you have some people who utilize it as a resource, and then you have others that utilize it as an even more of a resource. So like we have a gentleman that I know of that's a client that lives in an adjacent county that utilizes it 3 times a week to go to school in a different county, in an adjacent county, and then uses the other 2 days as like for a job that's within Marion County. So we do have regular reoccurring ones,
Yeah.
like our dialysis folks that utilize it. Of
Mhm.
course, their trips are gonna be probably higher than some of the other people that have maybe individually utilized it here and there when they've needed to. So, I mean, I could get that information, but yes, we do have regular reoccurring ones that utilize it, and their trip numbers are gonna be much more higher than some who've used it sparingly here and there.
Anybody have any questions of Karen?
I just have a couple of questions. How are the fees calculated?
So they're calculated directly in our software system. Our software system automatically calculates it for us. So you put in if you put in the pickup address and the destination, the system automatically computes it all for you.
So, I mean, like, is it the same amount? So if I'm not a client and I call Z-Trip and I wanna go from here to there, my cost is gonna be the same as like, as the client?
No, because
No,
this,
I mean, like the total cost
well, it could be. It could be.
with the fees and everything. Let's just say it cost me $100 to go from Avon to Greenwood. So as a non-client, my fee, I mean, what I'm saying is.
Your fee would be the total $100. Yeah, well, I mean, the cost of the trip could be, the actual cost of that trip could be the same. It could both be $100, but you would pay $100, whereas a client utilizing this program would pay 25. Yeah.
My trip is not cost $143 as a non-client, whereas theirs is gonna cost. So Z-Trip, do they have skin in the game when it comes to regulating the fees?
I mean, we asked we had to make sure, to be honest with you had to make sure that we could get a driver back out there. So, we had to talk with them about their fees and make sure that was, put into place, because we don't want somebody being dropped off and then not being picked back up. So that's why we had to put the minimum trip charge into place to ensure that driver pulled out of Marion County is getting paid for their services, just like if they were providing a trip that was for a non-client.
Okay,
Correct.
that's fair.
Yeah.
And do you guys track veterans?
I'm sorry.
Do you guys track veterans? Is that
I'll have to look and see.
application?
It's a good question. Let me look and see. Hold on just a second. It does not show as, a veteran on here, I don't believe, and that's something that we shouldn't. So let me take that back. It's a great question. Thank you.
And do you collect trip purpose? You just don't share the information, or you just don't even collect trip purpose anymore?
We stopped collecting
At
trip
all.
purpose, yeah, just to help prevent that PHI.
So a non-client could still use Z-Trips, but they would be accountable for the entire expense?
Correct, because
Yeah.
it's the local. Yeah, it's just, I mean, if they were a non-client, if they could utilize Z-Trip just like the local cab, the local
Okay.
cab company.
But you have negotiated rates with, I mean, like, she has negotiated rates with Z-Trip for the program.
Yes,
And, so yeah.
I don't know is that contract binding? So like if fuel went to $6.50, that in 6 months their fees may increase?
I mean, we have an MOU with them. We have a memorandum of understanding with
Yeah.
them. Luckily that hasn't happened, but it very well could.
Right.
Gas prices are up and down and all around.
So could how long are those fees then, similar question, are those fees locked in, or could they pay $6 one day and $8 the next time for the same trip?
No, the fees are locked in.
For how long?
Well, they're locked in for the current contract, which is another year that we have with them, so. And, and every year we're talking about that, and they haven't raised prices so far. So,
Great. These are, great questions.
yeah, no, absolutely,
Can these be scheduled in advance?
they can.
How far?
If it's a wheelchair client, we give good advice to try to schedule that up to 48 hours in advance, just so that they know, they're limited with the amount of wheelchair vehicles that they have. So we want to make sure that they're prepared to provide that paratransit, pickup. So we do encourage that clients who are going to utilize a wheelchair, to be able to ask up to 48 hours in advance.
And is that door to door? What is that service look
So
like?
as far as the wheelchairs, yes, they will get out and go door to door. If they're utilizing just a regular transit, so it would just be curb to curb.
What kinds of questions do they ask about the
It's all on the back here of this application. It's fine. It asks for their mobility and weight, their client weight, the width of the chair, the length of the chair. Do they use a power scooter? Do they use a manual wheelchair?
getting left, like they show up and then because they didn't ask for the right vehicle won't accommodate.
Yeah.
They leave them stranded and then
Yes.
plus.
Right, yeah. No, we asked that, not only for that, but for our program that we had before with our vehicles. We had shuttles and minivans.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I get it. I get it.
Other questions or Karen? It's been a really good discussion, Karen. Thanks for coming again. Jen, thanks for seeing us.
Absolutely.
Thanks to Socoa for being a partner and still providing the service. Appreciate it very much.
And likewise, Socoa appreciates her as well, so thank you.
Thanks. Okay. Next up, sort of updates, Amanda.
Yes, so you can see my report in the packet there. Some things to note, our calls have been up a bit. In May, we had 141 calls. And a lot of those calls are coming from our new One Call Connect pilot. We have a lot of interest drum up in that, 115 calls in April, which is the month that One Call Connect launched. So I think you will continue to see an increase in those calls each month because of One Call Connect, and I'll talk more about that in just a moment. You guys know our office is open Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and we're receiving calls during that time. And oftentimes we're referring these people that call to different services or partnering agencies. And you can see there that in May, we referred clients to 19 different other organizations or services and in April 27. So a lot of times that looks like someone calling and we refer them to call Socoa for a My Freedom trip. Or maybe it's they have a question about the services that are offered around Central Indiana, and we might refer them to call Suzanne's team over there in Hancock County. Or maybe it's, oftentimes people think maybe we have something to do with running Indigo. And so we refer them to our friends at Indigo or try to answer their questions as we can. So lots of referrals going on as well. As far as the workforce connector goes, I was happy to see that in May, Whitestown increased to 600 total riders compared to 500 in April. Plainfield continues to be strong in their ridership with 2,542 in May compared to 2,616 in April. And the biggest thing I want to update you on, since Karen already updated you that we're averaging about 200 trips a month on My Freedom, which is great. The One Call Connect program. So to remind you, it launched April 6th. So right after around the time I saw you last, we had just launched. And thankfully for our team, it was a slow trickle of calls in the beginning because can be very time consuming because if you remember, we have Hancock and Hamilton County who are great partners for this pilot. And we have Hancock on one database provider. They're on CTS, and then we have Hamilton County on Spare. So our team, we went through many hours of training. I spent a lot of time with especially Hamilton County learning Spare because CIRTA has access to Spare. Spare agreed to let us piggyback and have our own login. And then we essentially go through the process with the client to take all the information for the trip. We get everything booked in Spare that we can for the Hamilton County side of the trip. And then we package it up with a pretty little bow and send an email to Hancock County, who takes it from there. And then they confirm that they were able to book the other side of it. At that point, we call the client back and let them know, hey, we were able to book your cross-county trip. Here's what it looks like. Here's when you will be picked up, all those details. So things have been going very smoothly. I will tell you from the beginning, I was like, oh my gosh, I was like babysitting my phone, like, okay, you ready for the team to call me? I spent some more, I made sure I was available and around for them. Chris and his outreach team has done a great job playing dispatchers quite frequently. That's when they run the phones, that's what they're doing. Of course there were some hiccups in the beginning, mostly things that we just didn't anticipate until it happened, such as Hamilton County, we didn't know. And one thing that never came up in conversation is that they receive a text message to confirm their trip. And so we had a client where poor Hancock County showed up to pick them up and they're calling me saying, nobody's here. Like, what is going on? Well, come to find out, the person canceled their trip via text message, and we had no way of knowing that on the CIRTA side or the Hancock County side. So we're adapting to things such as that and finding ways to change to overcome. Poor Hancock County has had a couple situations where we've just learned that we have to over communicate, getting the drivers involved in if they're running a little behind in these situations because we're having a meetup time, making sure that we're communicating with each other if we're running behind, running ahead of schedule. So we have overcome some of those things. We are now getting some return trip riders that are booking their multiple trips now. And one lady specifically, she was so kind to do an interview with JTPR, our PR firm. And so you'll see more of that information coming out of how her trips have been going. We're at about 15 trips now from the start. Things are picking up. There's some people who are now saying, hey, can I go ahead and get 2 or 4 trips booked? And so a lot of these trips are for medical purposes. Some of them are for social. We had one lady in particular for nails or hair appointments. So it can be used for any purpose, but we're seeing a lot of medical trips. Some of them are, like I said, now calling us back for another trip. And we always ask them, how did you hear about this program? And a lot of these they're saying from a friend. So I know Hamilton and Hancock have been really good about telling people about this. In the beginning, we all admittedly were kind of like careful who we told, stuff.
Too popular.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want it to get popular too quickly, but we have also used the marketing dollars for promoting this on Facebook.
And Jen and I are trying to figure out, we don't know what Jen Thomas did different from before, because we've had those sponsored posts going on for quite some time now. We're now, in June, so it's been going on for a couple months, but all of a sudden we have an uptick in these Facebook messages.
I got 5 on the way to the board meeting.
Yeah, I've counted, I think we're at over 40 messages over the last, 3 days?
A lot.
And it's folks just saying, hey, how far in advance can I book? Or can I use this for any purpose?
What are the hours?
It
Is
is,
ADA acceptable?
yes, lots of, can I do this with a wheelchair? It is really great that there's an uptick, but Jen and I are like, what is going on? We're getting all these, they're coming in as private messages through Facebook, to our Facebook page. And as I said, the calls have increased. Karen was so kind to invite us to be a part of a panel at SACOA recently that we were able, it's Dementia Friends Indiana. And this is a group that meets regularly, and they focus on providing resources and educating the public on how to be better support system to those with dementia and to serve them better. And so CIRTA, Indigo, and SACOA all sat on that transportation panel. And so we had the opportunity to share about all of CIRTA's resources, but especially focused on My Freedom and One Call Connect. And they were very interested in that. They had a lot of questions about it. We will continue marketing for this through Facebook. We find that has been very successful. And now we're able to use these successful stories and put it in our newsletter, put it on our Facebook. So you'll see more and more of that. Jen mentioned being at the Hamilton County Resource Fair, and then Jen and I both continue to connect with leaders of different organizations that can benefit from this. So if you know of any organizations that you're like, hey, I wonder if they've gone and shared about this here or there, let us know. But very pleased with how it's going. The team, continues as I say, hey, we got to adapt this or that to make it better. They just go along with the punches. And I think overall, a couple hiccups here and there, but we just continue growing and becoming better with that. So pleased to share that, and we'll continue to share updates with you guys. Any questions?
Any questions for Megan?
Are you just utilizing this is Facebook your own social media platform?
Yes, so we are active on LinkedIn. I don't know if those have been cross-posted there. I don't think that we've been promoting it as heavily on LinkedIn, but it is something that we can push harder on there. We're not as active on Instagram. I think an account exists, but we don't utilize it the same way that we utilize Facebook.
Any questions on Amanda?
One thing I want to know, I did have a great discussion at Hendricks County so I go around to everybody's TAC meetings, and Hendricks County is getting ready. They use CTS, and they're getting ready to invest in some more cameras that will connect with CTS, or TripMaster is what they use, which is the same as what Suzanne and her team use over there at Hancock County. One thing that Annie Dixon and I were just asking questions about is, because we have these different databases, it would be so great if eventually we could all find a way to be on the same database, whether that's We were, yes, but if you looked at the numbers of Hamilton County, Ben has been great at sharing that their having to decline trips has decreased so much, and they're even having trouble keeping up with everything because that has benefited them so much. So I know you guys know, like Suzanne, you and Ben know the ins and outs of that so much more, but eventually I would love, I don't know if it means, we've talked about, Annie said, there's been talk in the past of maybe Indigo having like a main contract of a database, and somehow all the counties being able to have subcontracts of that, or I don't know, but that would be one of my dreams. If I could dream big of what we could do to help enhance transportation, especially cross county around central Indiana, that would be being able to be on the same database, especially Jen had her first experience not too long ago of like going through the process of booking a trip, and she was like, oh my gosh, like I knew this was a lot. I know you said it's a lot, but it is very time consuming doing both systems and getting everything over. And we just want to make it as simple as possible, especially for the riders, but also for our teams, both at Hamilton and Hancock. And if we roll this out in the future to more counties.
Can you speak a little bit about I couldn't help to notice your notes and I had it on my mind about the workforce connectors, so.
Sure.
So we followed up with Brownsburg. We have not heard back from them. It's in their court to provide us with where they would want stops. Basically, so we can have further conversations. I have been notified by the IMPO. They're trying to coordinate a meeting with Avon. Avon is potentially interested in having discussions about some form of workforce connector model. Anna has Sean Northrop with the IMPO kind of coordinating those meetings. He has sent an email regarding availability. We haven't heard back yet from Avon. So that's kind of an update on where we are with additional workforce connectors coming online. Sorry, I didn't mean to eavesdrop, but I kind of just saw it. And I wanted to make sure we mentioned it, so yes.
On that one, the Lafayette Square pickup, I asked you about that. Is there anything interesting to note about that? Just kind of the same.
Specifically interesting. I know that there's been good feedback of, there are some people, for example, who walk there, live in that area where I don't think that would have been as feasible at our other locations. So it's also nice that, you know, you've got 2 buses going there from Indigo versus 1, and there have certainly been some positives that have come of it. I know we've had calls here and there that have been like, oh, well, I used to use your other location. You know, you're always going to have those people that were negatively impacted by the change, but it seems to have been a positive move based on the feedback we receive as well.
Yeah, questions of Amanda? Suzanne, I wanted to say thanks to you and also to Ben and Hamilton County for kind of being the guinea pigs on this.
They do, they deserve a lot of kudos because they probably, when her phone rings, she's probably like, oh no. But they have been so helpful in allowing me to ask all kinds of questions and training and just any little thing we run into. I know it's taking more time for their teams and training for their drivers to make sure they understand the program and all of that. So it is much appreciated and definitely glad that I have them on my side and on our team for that. Quick.
Okay.
I was just gonna have just a quick question. Have you guys looked at the 2 systems that each of you have to see if they talk to each other? Like on the back end?
I think we've discovered they do not.
Okay.
CTS is very proprietary, and so I've been struggling to have that even to our database. So yeah, so my guess is no. I don't know that we specifically looked at it, but we can.
I was just curious.
We're gonna be looking at Spare a little bit, but it's a project we don't really need right now, but we're gonna look at it anyway, see.
Well, and the biggest feedback I hear, so Hendricks County, for example, I was sort of asking like, you know, may I ask, like, when we're hearing all these positives from Hamilton County about Spare, what is keeping you from considering that or maybe even another option? And they said that the biggest thing was cost. And so that's certainly difficult when it comes to funding and the world that we're dealing with in transportation. So
well, it's a transition, and we know what transitions do to a system, right?
Mhm.
So we've been doing a few other things already, so we would have to schedule that. Even if we decided we were all in.
Yeah.
Because there's can have too many of those, but.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
And there's some things about it that we need to learn. So one of the things that I'm hearing is it sort of shuffles the rides all day. And I know the tolerance for drivers, so we're gonna have to do some setting expectations. Go that far.
And I think that that's some of it too, is the challenge is the fact that each different service is so different.
They are as much as they're the same, they're hard. Even the 4 donuts are different in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Any further discussion? Thank you again, Amanda.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, Jen, you're up.
Yeah. All right, I think I'm gonna, I'd like to kind of just to piggyback off of what Amanda said, in front of you, and I apologize Colleen and Destiny online. I will email this to you. It's a report I got after the board meeting. Packets went out regarding earned media that we have received, and in front of you, you can just see that we had quite a bit of earned media that JTPR was able to provide. Most of all of it was regarding One Call Connect. So we did have one alternative to high gas prices that launched at the end of April in the Indy Star. That was good to help find commuters cheaper ways to get to work with gas prices climbing. So I just wanted to share that report with you. I'd like to kind of take a moment to formally let Amy kind of introduce herself a little bit. So Amy kind of has, jumped right in. Literally, her first day was June 1st. We did some training with Brandy in May together. And then Amy's first week, she had board meeting preparation, payroll drawdown. So invoices due for the connectors. And with that being said, Amy, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background to the board, and just want to kind of formally welcome her.
So my name is Amy Burnett. I actually worked in public transit in Lafayette for 14 years. I held all three accounting positions that they had at the time, starting as a bookkeeper, working my way up to the controller. So dealt with grants and procurement and, public transportation and everything that comes with that. I did leave there in 2021. I actually went to the software company that we use for the transit software, worked there for about 18 months, and then transitioned to the state of Indiana. I actually am still there full time, so I'm the chief financial officer at the Indiana Veterans Home in West Lafayette. So state of Indiana, so still in the public sector, working with procurement and everything financial. Public transportation is what I know. It's what I lived and breathed for 14 years. So it's just the public sector in general, but transit has a special place in my heart. So Jen and I met in 23. So I did submit a proposal back then. Things were just different a couple of years ago. So now the opportunity has presented itself, and like she said, I jumped in May and officially started June 1st. So I'm hoping that we'll be able to support each other, because I think it's going to be definitely a two-way street for the two of us. So
it's been nice already to have Amy and her insight, like just during training. For example, she's been able to answer questions I have not been able to get answers to in the past. I can tell you that she has a lot of great ideas with experience too, and things to that extent. So I'm excited. We're going to be working together this afternoon after the board meeting today. I'm excited for, we didn't have her jump in with grants immediately, but she's also going to be assisting us with grants as well. So that's going to be something that's really exciting as well. And knowing that you actually have experience in NTD and different things like that, because you have that transit background. So anyways, just welcome. I just want to also express my appreciation. I know she's not here, but to Brandy, she did have a very smooth training transition. She, we met the three of us for 2 days in person, 1 day virtually. And she was great to help with the transition to Amy and stuff, to make sure that she had everything she needed. So just again, welcome and thanks. All right, I'm looking forward to working together.
Yes.
So, our office move. So we have moved offices for all of you guys. If you didn't know, our new office suite is 818. So we're just one floor beneath where we were before. So that went smooth, and We are all kind of set up in our new suite. Also wanted to let those of you know that 2027 partner contributions have been sent for budget planning for 2027. We will send out invoices for that information. That will be sent out again in December, hopefully to be sent in January and February. Suzanne and I actually attended, the Public Transportation Council of Indiana's strategic planning meeting, so PTCI. And I'm gonna let you, if you wanna contribute to this conversation, feel free, but I wanted to let you know that there is the large urbans. So back in the day, we used to have two kind of statewide associations
Still.
for transit, and there still are. There is PTCI, and then they were created with the big urbans, kind of breaking away from the small.
They invited him.
But they did invite everybody to this workshop. So last week, Suzanne and I were at Indigo East Campus for a day of workshop. And during that workshop, it was actually really great to see at least the perspective of having so many transit agencies in the room together. Everybody from, I think we had everybody from our area pretty much there, except I don't think Hamilton County was there. But, and was Shelby coming? I don't think Shelby was there.
There were small rurals and then there were.
The small rurals, but the urbans and, we have Bloomington, we had Lafayette, we had Terre Haute. I mean, we just had good representation there. And the conversation, it was a strategic planning workshop that is focused on, are we going to create this, what is this statewide transportation group going to focus on when it comes to transit? And there was a lot of voting, a lot of discussion. Nothing has been determined yet, but it was interesting to go back to how we're all so uniquely different, right? And trying to get all these groups to kind of collaborate on what is important for transit in the state. And what do we want to get out of this large group? So I bring this mainly up just to let you know that CIRTA was a part of those discussions. We'll have more updates when we learn of them. But right now it's, kind of back in RLS. Christy actually is overseeing, for those of you who know Christy Campbell with RLS, she's kind of overseeing facilitating, overseeing the data collection, things to that extent. So anyways, I'll provide details when we have them, but, that did occur. So I also wanted to update you, our legislative RFQ proposals were due June 1st. Initially, we sent those to 7 local firms and posted it for regular procurement channels. We received 4 proposals.
All of them on June 1st.
All of them on June 1st, and Suzanne knew that because she was sitting across from me at PTCI. Well, no, we received Ice Miller before June 1st, so I at least had one, but she was sitting across from me and I'm like, yeah, here I am. I just came back from vacation and we have proposals due and Amy's starting and payroll week and that's the life, right? So anyways, we received 4 proposals, including Ice Miller, one from Rhonda Cook from Legis Group, the Corden Group, and RJL Solutions. All appear at this time to be complete. The executive committee and myself, we are meeting tomorrow to kind of review these proposals. I can tell you, it is an RFQ, so it's based on qualifications. But I did want to bring up price today and just let you know what I know at this time. They range from $3,500 with Ice Miller being the cheapest per month to a crazy $8,000 a month. So I can tell you Ice Miller was $3,500 a month. Legis Group was $3,750. The Corden Group was $6,000 a month, and RJL was $8,000. So we'll be having further discussions on that, obviously tomorrow, and the executive committee will have a recommendation for you guys on what's next with all that. So I wanted to also just kind of update you a little bit. You know, the summer's up here. Gosh, it's here. I don't know. Summer's here. Kind of crazy then. But you know, Chris and the outreach team has several community events coming up. It's like our busiest time ever. I would say we have, just so you guys kind of know where we're going to be in your community, I thought it would be important to mention this. We have a few Juneteenth community fairs coming up. We'll be in Rib Fest in Hendricks County. We will be attending the Gaslight Festival, the Hamilton, Madison, and Shelby County 4-H fairs. The Fortville Summerfest. We'll be attending Spark Fishers, the Indiana Black and Minority Health Fair, the Old Settlers Fair, the Morgan County Resource Fair, Familia Fest, Momentum Indy, and Nora. Chris still has some others that are after that I did not include on this list. And I know he's actually, I believe, even still scheduling some. So that's exciting. We have a good representation of where we'll be this summer. So I'm excited to have that kickoff for us. We're launching a Google Ads campaign to test a new strategy for marketing. It's gonna include so think of it as if you're going to Google and you just type in a keyword such as carpool to work. Or you type in something like transportation resources, or I don't have a car. It's gonna actually take people to our Register Now page on our website to get free transportation plans. So it's like something new we're kind of piloting. Our advertising company that we work with, we're gonna test it out for 3 months. They are seeing some huge success with this in some other markets. So we'll have some more formal, formal media reports to share with you. But that's something that I just approved. All right. The only other thing I kind of wanted to mention right now was that, you know, Amanda was talking about I mentioned to you the excitement over at the Hamilton County Resource Fair, and we are, in addition to doing the paid media with One Call Connect with some Facebook ads, we were doing some stuff with high gas prices as well. When just to make sure people know that we have some resources for that. But overall, I wanted to let you know in the last 28 days, our Facebook page alone is up 128%, with 607,952 views. Previous was 267,000 views. So people are paying attention to us and our programs and our resources right now. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you and just know that it was something very exciting to see. So, yeah. So this might be the shortest board meeting that we ever have. Not quite. Okay.
Okay, good meeting.
But yeah, but thank you all for everything you do.
Any other questions, Tina? If not, our next meeting is in August, and is it our little?
It's actually it's actually at Hamilton County Express at Janice, at 155 Westfield Road in Noblesville.
Okay, we can go ahead and adjourn because we don't need a motion, right?
That's my understanding.
Grand.
Yeah, but she's online, you can ask her.
Yeah. Thanks everyone for being here today, either online or being here in person. Thanks to our guests for their presentations. Once again, thanks to Indigo.
You bet.
Partners and friends, appreciate that much. And thanks to all of you for your patience. Felt like down here, I appreciate it very much. So.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
That's the thing.